Hey, Don, thanks for joining us today. As a way of getting started, give us a little background on yourself.
So I think my journey into sales was maybe similar to other people, but I significantly think it's different from anybody that I've really met in my industry. In 2008, I was in college and could no longer pay for college. So I like to think of it as a polite way of getting removed from school for non-payment. I had to sell some things actually to get home back to New Jersey from Ohio, where I was going to school. And I needed a job, so my kind of intro was a really good friend of mine was working retail at a big retailer, big vitamin retailer. He hired me $7 an hour. I had to take the job because I needed something. And I've been on the CPG side in the health and wellness space for about 14 years now. So
did you like it immediately, or was it just a job?
It was tough at first, I love the sales aspect of it. And I put the air quotes up there because it wasn't really sales when I first started. It was more trial and error and learning than anything else. The most important thing that I came to learn in that was that I was more interested in the people than I was in the job and what I was doing. And I think I was able to kind of transcend that and take that to a next place that really land me where I'm at now. But the biggest thing for me was the learning process and really the trial and error of failing and trying new things with people and using them as my biggest resource to teach me about something I'm very passionate about, health and wellness. And, so yeah.
And so what did you like about it? What did you not like about it at the beginning?
Nobody likes to fail, right? And I think early on, I was in such a rush to
have
make
success.
The situation right. It wasn't. I don't even think it was success as much as it was money oriented.
Yeah.
And so I was trying anything I could to try to put some extra money in my pocket, and it was a huge mistake I made early on. And intuitively, that's not who I am. I'm saying this on a sales podcast. I'm not a true salesman, truthfully, and I really feed off of the other people and work with them to really come up with the best solution now for people's businesses, but then for personal use for person from the retail perspective.
Well, that's it. When we begin in sales and we look at sales, we think it's, we're in it just to make money or to manipulate or to be the life of the party. But that's not what great salespeople do. It's about helping somebody out. It's about giving. It's about connecting with other people and having them learn about something new. How long did it take before you got the groove?
About 3 months. It was about 90 days.
Is that all?
Yeah, it was about 90 days. And it felt like an eternity, right? It did. But to be truthful with you, once I let go of the company I worked for was very high sales pressure. And it kind of, so it put that perspective. I was like, I want to be a manager. I need benefits. I need a salary, right? So those were all my goals initially. And once I got over that and let go of all of the nonsense and really focused on the person, it was almost like a home run, right? And making that connection was pivotal for me.
And was that somebody told you that, or was it something you experimented with, or it was something that you just started to notice that when you let the sales thing turn down and turn up the human part?
Yeah, so it's funny you asked that. So I'll tell you a story. My first paycheck, I got my first paycheck. I don't know what it was, like $600 after 2 weeks of working. Okay, small paycheck, but I needed a laptop, right? Because what I learned that I needed to do was learn more. I had to learn more to be able to connect with these customers on a more personal basis. And I went to Best Buy, and I always tell this story because I think it's a very good way to, when you realize, to really kind of self-check yourself to see what you're doing wrong. I go into Best Buy and there was a gentleman standing in the laptop section. I don't know anything about computers. He was a regular guy. I'm selling vitamins at the time. I know nothing about computers. So I go in and someone's, they have a bunch of workers there and they're like, hey, do you need help? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I need some help. So what are you looking for? I said, I need a laptop. Didn't ask me any questions. Walks me over to a laptop, opens this thing up. He's like, oh, it has all this RAM and gigahertz and megabytes. He might as well have been speaking French to me. I had no idea what he's talking about. And I look at it, it's like $2,200. I'm like, yeah, thanks, but let me keep looking, right? Which in essence is get away from me. I think
I'm not buying.
so. I think I'm gonna leave, and I'm pandering around a little bit more. And another salesperson comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, I saw you talking to somebody. Could I help you with anything? Are there any questions you need answered?" And I said, "Yeah, you know what? Yes, you can help me. I'm actually looking for a laptop. Could you show me some recommendations?" Like, well, before I do that, what are you using it for? So I was like, honestly, I just want to go on the internet and I want to learn. I need to learn more. Right. He's like, will you be traveling with it? I said, not traveling, driving back and forth to work. So I need something that's, I guess decent. I don't want to, a box to, so something decently small. Are you going to be doing a lot of typing? And I said, well, I guess not really, though. It's more for, search purposes. Shows me a laptop in my price range. I said, I'll take it. Right. So in that essence, I was the first guy. That was me. Right. Here's the high ticket item. I'm telling you stuff. You don't know what I'm talking about.
Doesn't mean anything to you.
It means nothing. Right. So it's so silly that I'm saying this, but that was the moment for me where I was like, holy crap, it clicked.
Well, when you see yourself in the inverse, it helps you get it. Because the other guy just cared about him. He didn't care about you.
Correct.
The other guy, the second guy, was like, well, what are you trying to accomplish with it? What's the use case? And getting you to think ahead. Do you travel with it?
Yep. Establishing a need, right?
Yeah.
Very generically, yeah.
Right, because the other, couple $1,000 didn't get you anything that meant anything to you.
Yeah.
And when you started applying this kind of mindset, it obviously helped you.
Yes. 3 months after that, I actually got promoted to be a store manager. And then I was a district manager for that same company a year later. I did that for 3 years. And then I transcended that to outside sales. And I've taken that approach everywhere I go. And now really, I help business owners grow their business, grow their bottom line now. And my entire thing, and this is real, is I want them to grow their business and I want to play a role in that. It's something that's, I think people overuse the word passion, but it's something I'm very purposeful about. I'm very intent in that nature. I want to see that. That's my biggest ROI. My biggest reward is saying, hey, I had a thumbprint on this person that took their business from 0 to 100 and was able to buy their family or pay for their child's school or whatever it may be.
So give us an example of like how you open up a conversation with somebody you haven't met yet, whether it's a store owner or a business owner. How do you get that focus and tone to the conversation when they're thinking like, who are you? What do you do? Why do I need it?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, especially now, this is hard. Like this is difficult. Over computer is very hard. All right. It's just, there's so many, as we know last week, there's audio issues. There's all these different problems. I can't get a real pulse on Brian Burns through a computer. It's very hard. So my whole thing is I try to meet people in person. I still do that. I've been doing that for the past 2 years when it was deemed safe to do. When people felt comfortable to do it, I would do it. And that's number one. First and foremost, like, are you interested? And if you're not interested, you're not going to meet with me, right? But that's number one. Two, I think you have to have a product that people are interested in. And it comes down to person, sure, but there has to be an established need. And I think for me, I do not reach out to people that I don't feel I can benefit them. If I don't feel like I can help you, I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste my time. If I feel like I can, or if maybe I feel like I can't, but you want the help, I'll put in that effort to do that. I don't know if that's answering your question directly.
Well, that's great judgment skills, because a lot of reps think, oh, here's the phone book, or here's my total addressable market or my territory. I'll start at A and I'll end at Z, and then I'll start again at A until I make my. And the problem is that's not selling. That's kind of marketing as a human.
Right. And you can hire anybody to do that.
Right. Because anyone can read a script. They have robots to do it now.
Yeah.
How are
and
you
what's
any
worse
different?
than that? What's
Nothing
worse
is
than
worse.
that? My
And
thing. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
right, because I think, because, and it's not the rep's fault, it's the manager tells the rep to do it. And the manager doesn't care how hard that rep works or how much rejection they get.
Yeah.
But like once you get the meeting with them, how do you get the focus on them?
Ask questions.
Yeah.
And again, back to what is the most important thing in the world to you? This is the question that I always ask everybody. Is it your family? Is it your bottom line? Is it your patient? I've worked with doctors. Is it patient? Is it profit? Tell me what the most important thing in the world to you is, and I'll help address that. Right. And if it's your family, I know that if you have kids, you want to send your kid to school. So that ties back to profit. Correct. And that kind of conversation, I'm upfront with people. I'm not here to waste anybody's time. And I think that approach is well received by most people. When you have a very upfront and honest conversation, tell me what the most important thing in the world to you, and I can do my best to get you from A to Z.
Well, that's a great opener because it gets them talking about themselves, their favorite topic.
Right.
And you can tree off of that very easily, cascade into all the different issues, and then kind of wrap it up into how what you sell can help them get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When did you get your groove into sales? When did it really, where you said, this isn't just for money, this is really what I want to do with my life?
Yeah. Truthfully, I think it was about 2 years ago. Yeah. And I've been doing this for 14 years. It took me 12 years, and it wasn't the groove, so to speak, as much as it was just finding a purpose in what I was doing rather than just doing it because I was good at it. Right. And because the paycheck's good or whatever the case may be, all these things that don't mean much at the end of the day to somebody who's laying in bed at night and thinking about what they do and self-assessing and looking in a mirror in the morning. Am I passionate about this, or am I purposeful about this? And I think that difference really clicked for me 2 years ago. I think for a lot of people, I just think that COVID changed a lot of people's perspective on what they're doing day to day. And we see this with this mass exodus, right? Yeah. People are like, you know what? I'm going to go start a business, or I'm going to go work at a dog shelter, an animal shelter 20 hours a week. And I want to go from 40 hours to 20 hours at my full-time job. Whatever it is that they're passionate about or purposeful about, people are now exploring more than ever. And it was no different for me. It was no different for me.
Yeah, I think, COVID kind of gave the whole world the big chill all at once, right?
Right.
And how would you characterize your purpose?
That's a great question. It's shifted. It's changed. I think a lot of people in terms of sales think that you have to be a great leader, right? And when I realized, and this is the truth, I'm not a great leader, so to speak. I'm a good leader in a sales perspective. I've managed incredible teams, but I'm better. I'm good at that, but I'm better at being a servant. I'm better at serving people and helping people get to where they want to get to. And I think for me, and it's not just that, I've adopted 2 dogs. I do everything I can do for my family in all realms of possibility. I volunteer my time. To me, that's purpose, right? Am I helping people every day? Truthfully, am I living to my full potential? And do I have something to look forward to every day when I go to work? And I can answer all those things confidently. Yes.
And I think that mindset gets you connected to other people, because I think people sense that. Because most salespeople, it's all about them, their product, you take action. And nobody likes that. Nobody likes a commercial. Nobody likes to be in a process. People want to learn, connect with other people, and engage. Now,
people, oh, go ahead.
What do you see reps doing wrong when they come to you or when you're talking to them?
I've been fortunate enough to work with really great people. I've had great leaders. I've had great teams. And I've also been fortunate enough to see what not to do. I used to be what not to do.
That's the best.
I used to be that.
Yeah.
For a time, I think the biggest thing is trying to sell too hard. Hey, my one thing that I've lived by over the past 12 years, I can say I've lived by this. People love to shop, but they hate to be sold. They hate it.
Yeah.
And today's day and age, we're being sold 24/7. If it's on your social media account, there's ads popping up, TV, on YouTube, on, anything. You're always being sold. So the opposite of that must be something that we're yearning for, because we don't see it enough anymore. So I just think it's authenticity. And there are a lot of really great salespeople. But I think the best people are the people that are authentically themselves and aren't trying to just get over on you. So to speak.
Yeah. And I think today, certainly everything looks like a transaction. Right. And there's no longer that connection. I remember selling shoes in high school. There was this lady salesperson. She sold so many shoes, and I just observed her. And what she would do is bring out all these extra shoes. And she goes, you know what? Just try these on. I'd like to see how these work with you, and if you like them. So she'd sell 3 pairs when I'd sell 1 pair. So I just started doing the same thing. I go, these aren't on display, but they're out back. We just got them in. And I happen to have your size. Don't tell anyone. Right. And a lot of women just would come in to try shoes on. The objective wasn't to buy shoes. It was to try shoes.
Right.
And I was just the fetcher. But if you get them engaged in the conversation and they start to fall in love with the shoes. And I go, well, you don't have to take it today, but I can't hold it for you. Right. But if I just brought them out, do they fit? Is it too tight? Do you like them? Would never buy.
Yeah.
But if you just, you show them all these stuff and it's like, oh, that's too many. Right. No, I can afford it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
If you get out of the transaction mentality and get into the transformation of the relationship, you get people opening up, much like your question of what's most important to you. Right. And they're kind of thinking most important to me in the context of what you sell, or the most important to me in any context. You get engagement, you get discussion.
Right.
While they're looking at you.
And it's just like, if there's somebody at the grocery store, I'm a talker at the grocery store. If I'm walking through an aisle and I see somebody with the Giants, I'm a huge Giants fan. I know you're from up in the Boston area, correct?
Yeah.
Is that where you're from? So I'm a huge Giants fan. So sorry to say that to you, but if I see somebody with a Giants fan, I'm like, hey, who do we need this year in the draft? Right? Like, these things are just following me around, and then we end up with a conversation.
Yes.
That's much more meaningful or impactful if somebody feels the need to talk to somebody. And again, I feel like that's the purpose, right? And as silly as it sounds, from a mark on a t-shirt to sales, it's all transcendent.
Well, it's also great practice. You're talking to a stranger. Right. But you pick something you both have clearly an interest in.
Right.
And I bet they put a smile on.
Yeah, always. It's always a smile. Or first it's what? First it's who? What did you say? Because they're usually taken back initially. Going back to the practice point, Brian, I have to tell you this, and I feel like anybody who's listening should try this if they're nervous to sell something to somebody, because if it's a huge client or whatever the case may be. I heard from somebody, I don't want to take credit for this. I don't remember exactly where I heard it, but I heard it a long time ago, that somebody would go in and ask for a discount every time they shop somewhere. And I'd be like, you know what? I go to Starbucks every day. Every single day I go to Starbucks and grab my coffee and I go to work. Let me ask for a 10% discount every single day. And they would tell me no every single time. So the practice of failure made it more comfortable for me to fail. And one day, the person that told me no every day turned to her manager and asked her, can I give him a 10% discount? She's like, sure, don't worry about it. So every time I went in thereafter, they'd give me a 10% discount.
Well, because you didn't do it for the discount. You did it for the practice of the discount.
I wanted the no. I was looking for the no every time. That's what I wanted.
And, certainly a long time ago, I practiced this on chatting up young ladies.
I think we both, yeah.
And all my friends weren't good at it. And the key is to not act like you're picking them up. You're talking
Right.
to them. And that is just sales. It is just starting conversations with strangers.
Right.
And that's where the transformation takes place. People think it's, oh, what's the perfect insight, elevator pitch? All of that, that's transactional.
Correct.
It may work, probably doesn't, right? This is all based off of the millions instead of the tens. What other skill has really propelled your career in sales?
I truthfully, I wish I had an answer for you there. I think, truth, I don't self-assess well. I do when I'm doing something wrong, but when I'm doing something right, I don't flatter myself with, oh, I really did a really good job. But I'm consistent. And I think more so than anything, I'm consistent, and I'm consistently me. And I'm also persistent when it needs for me to be persistent. And I think a lot of times people will take those no's and take them to heart. And I don't do that. I just don't care. You can tell me no, it's okay. If I can't help you and you can't help me, I'd rather know now than waste your time, waste my time, but I could probably help you somehow or some way, and let's figure out. So you can tell me no 3 or 4 times. That's okay. And sooner or later I'll move on. But I take everything. It's like a game to me. If somebody is telling me no, it's like, well, I didn't do a good enough job explaining how I can add value. And if they tell me no again, I'm still not doing a good enough job. They tell me no a third time, like, you know what? You're probably right. I probably can't help, or whatever the case may be. But I think maybe that might be it. But again, I'm not a back patter. I don't.
Well, I think you touched on something that a lot of people don't talk about: the consistency. Because it's really hard to beat somebody who's consistent. There's a lot of us that we ride the roller coaster, and you see it right after the end of the quarter. The next 2 weeks, it's hard as you can't get a hold of anyone in sales because they're all taking time off to recover from the last quarter. That's inconsistency.
Yeah.
If you're consistent and persistent and kind of analyzing what works and what doesn't work and looking for little granules of improvement, you're going to become better.
Yeah.
Do you use any metaphor, either a sport? When you said game, what game do you visualize in your head? Is it chess? Is it?
No. So I've played football for a lot of my younger life. I've played hockey for most of my life. I still play hockey. It's it's something I do. It's a passion of mine. And I play goalie, right? So every time I get a no, it's a goal, right? And that's how I look at it. Is I gotta make the next, right? So that's always my perspective on it. And I will visualize letting a goal in, or visualize making the save sometimes when I'm kind of deep in it, when I'm not on the phone after I get off hearing a no. I'll get back to the playbook, so to speak, and do some visualization.
And what would you say separates the best reps that you've seen in your career versus the okay reps, the reps that are the B players? Is there a characteristic or other than natural talent?
Yeah, I don't know. I truthfully don't know how far natural talent gets anybody. Right? Yeah,
It gets you the meeting. You're not going to get the deal.
Right. But you don't become Jordan or Kobe or Derek Jeter from natural talent, right? It takes a lot more than that. So for me, I truly believe, again, it comes back to that consistency. And I think it comes down to authenticity. Again, we're being sold all day long, and people know when you're trying to sell them something. And I think I hate reverting back to this, but I think truly being yourself, I believe this, truly being yourself, being consistently yourself, not wavering. And you know what? I'll even add one more thing. I think one thing I do really well is I follow up. I do this thing every Friday, which I'll do today once we get off of here. I call it Follow Up Friday, and I will follow up with all my accounts that I touched base with in the last 2 weeks. And then I do that retroactively, and I do it every single Friday. And whether it's if I know, because I get personal with people. This morning I woke up, I knew it was one of my customers' birthdays. I shot him, hey, happy birthday, man, enjoy it. He's turning 39 today. enjoy your birthday. Right? It's a guy that owns 6 businesses. He's very, very busy. Enjoy your birthday, so I will always, always, always do that. And I think that something like that, like following up with people and knowing you're thinking about them. I think and I really care that it's the guy's birthday. I'm not pretending.
Right.
He's become a friend of mine. A lot of my customers have become friends of mine. So, I believe that the follow-up and consistency is some of those things that just a lot of people aren't tapping into as often.
And that obviously the challenge of consistency is when you get a bad day, bad call, bad week, bad month. Of course. How do you recover from that to keep the consistency going?
One thing I learned a long time ago, when life really happens to you, when you have real life impacts of life, small things don't bother you. And even if it's a big no that you're really counting on and looking forward to, it's water off the back, right? I do not let anything impede my weekend with my wife, with my dogs, with my family, with my friends, nothing. There's no, there's no bad news. There's nothing that could ever change how I am outside of work that'll affect me that much. So truthfully, I'm just not affected the way that some people may be affected. Just the way that I look at life, I think helps channel that and just get up and bounce back to the following day. And if there's one devastating no, in context devastating, not really devastating, but if there's one quote unquote devastating no, there's 100 more yeses to come, right? And I always look forward to again, it's the next play. Like I play goalie, I'm always going to let in a goal. Some shots are always going to slip by the goalie, right? And it's always meaningless in the game of life to hear a no or to have a bad day. I don't have bad days. I have bad moments. I don't have bad days. I can tell you that honestly. I haven't had a bad day in quite some time.
Cool. Hey, Don, appreciate your time today. Where can people go to connect and follow you?
LinkedIn is probably the best place. Donald William McCoy III. Do not add Donald William McCoy. He is a government. He's a government contracted person. That is my father. So you'll see him on there. He'll say, what are all these weird add-ons? And he doesn't even know how to work his LinkedIn page. So yeah, Donald William McCoy III. And I would love to connect with any of you. If you have any questions or want to follow up, that'd be wonderful.